Hi guys, and welcome to my review of Assassin's Creed Unity. I'm going to start off with the bad stuff over the good, just because that's the way around I prefer to do it. Get the nasty out of the way before the nice. And also, for full disclosure, I actually got this after all the patches had been done, so I didn't get any of the frankly horrific glitches that people who bought the game after it just came out got. So I haven't really had a problem with glitches at all. Nothing's gone wrong for me in the slightest. So thing number one thing that I hate in games in general is microtransactions, but let's face it, they're going to be around. It's another revenue stream for companies, so they're going to go with it. It's as simple as that. Nonetheless, I kind of just begrudge when the game offers me the ability to pay almost twice what I paid for it just to get some in-game points that I can spend on stuff like weapons and armour and things like that. But it just kind of, it brings everything to a screeching halt for me when they say, oh, by the way, you can't afford this yet. And then up comes a screen saying, but you can spend some real world money and have all the points in the world. Enough to buy pretty much everything in the game in this instance. In English money, it's actually £80 is the top that you can pay for it. For Helix points, they're called. Another thing that I'll mention and this is going to be kind of mild spoiler, so it's very mild spoiler, but still, just consider yourself warned. There is almost no out-of-simulation interaction. Aside from a few conversations, nothing takes place outside the simulation at all. So you won't be wandering around Abstergo or anything like that. This is probably the first Assassin's Creed game where the whole game takes place inside the simulation itself. Moving on from that, kind of almost in the same vein, is the fact that with 4, they basically told you this is Abstergo making what's basically a video game. You are a programmer of a sort, so that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be wandering around Abstergo. But in this you are basically just told this is a video game. That's it. That's as far as it goes. This is a video game, and that's that. And so they kind of start to introduce video game-like concepts throughout the game. I won't go into what exactly, but you'll see as you progress through the game what I mean. How they take you out of one place and put you in another to remind you you are in a video game, in a simulation. Another thing that kind of is a problem is that as much as I like having a lot to do, there's almost too much in the game. There's when you open the map, it's just covered, like literally covered in dots to do this, that and the other. Some things which are going to take a while, some things which are going to be like 5-minute jobs, but there's almost too much. You can almost get caught up just going, where do I go next? What do I do? I mean, there were times where I actually couldn't see the next mission marker for the next story mission. There was just so much stuff, and it was so cluttered that I just couldn't see it without going through different menus. And that says to me that as much as they've tried to give you a lot to do, there's almost too much. One minor thing which I don't like, as you'll actually see there with the assassin ranking up, you get hint messages all the way through the game. The problem is though that when you've interacted with something in the game itself, it covers that completely. So, for instance, when you're doing an investigation and you've picked up a piece of evidence, which is a mission type now in here, criminal investigations, they're actually really good. So, you know, that's one of the good points of the game. Criminal investigations, which are actually really good. But the hints actually cover what information you've just managed to pick up from interacting with that piece of evidence. And it happens at multiple points through the game. You'll pick something up and a hint will come up saying you have made X amount of money, or you've completed this, or you've done this assassin thing and got points for it. And it just covers whatever you're trying to look at. That's relatively minor, but it is annoying though. So moving on to the good stuff. One of the things that I never really liked about the other games was the fact that some of the combats, some of the actual fights can get so huge, it just got ridiculous. But in this, it seems they've tried to kind of shrink the size of the fights down, but make them slightly tougher. So there's no more, you can't chain attacks, so you can't literally kill one guy, jump to the next, jump to the next, jump to the next, jump to the next. You actually have to beat each one of them in turn. So I like that. I'm kind of glad about that. Because it got kind of silly once you got to like the 10th person who you killed in a row without being stopped. Yeah, as much as it made you look like the master assassin, the unstoppable assassin, it just got silly after a while. The other thing, of course, is that, I mean, I mentioned there was a lot of stuff to do, kind of too much, but the actual in-world things that are taking place around you make Paris seem more alive than any of the other games' worlds. More alive than the Caribbean of Black Flag, more alive than North America of Assassin's Creed 3. So I like that, the fact that they give you more stuff to interact with in the game world itself, and more little things that come up, like the option to help citizens comes up. Little things will come up and you'll have to go and help someone quickly. Usually revolves around just killing someone, but or chasing down muggers, that's the other one that comes up mostly. But they just make them, and the riots going on all around Paris just make the world seem more alive and more like a living, breathing world than just something that's been populated with bots. One of the other things that I like is the fact that your armour and weapons are actually upgradable now. And I don't mean you just upgrade by buying a new weapon. I mean, you actually have to get better and better pieces of equipment and buy different things. They all give you different attributes as well, which I like, because you can kind of tailor your assassin more to your way of playing. If you like to just run into combat, you can upgrade a heavy axe and give yourself maximum health. If you are a proper stealth assassin, as I try to be and quite often fail to be, then you can tailor him to that as well. Mine is tailored for maximum health and maximum stealth, but you can also give him maximum melee or maximum gun abilities and make him a sniper almost. The final part really is the fact that the story in this case is much more engaging than I've seen recently in the other games. It's much more enjoyable to get to know Arnaud as a character, and he's very much to me in the same vein as Ezio. He's a lovable rogue, and that just gives him a much better story, and one that you're more willing to get into and play through.